Good evening, boys. How are we doing?
Very
I'm
well,
not
thank
bad.
you.
How are you, pal? You
Oh,
all
good
good?
stuff. I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you very much. Looks like we are missing Wayne at the minute, but we do have a very capable replacement, special guest, Jeff. Dom, do you want to do him an intro?
Well, I was just going to say I thought Wayne's let himself go a bit, but then I realised it's my old man. Well, this gentleman on the screen is the reason I had the family curse of being an Everton fan passed on to me. So
Curse.
yeah,
Curse.
it is in my lifetime, but we're on the up. But yeah, so this is my old man. We've, like I say, had the pleasure of taking me all over watching Everton as a kid. So we've had a good ride with it, and we've had best memories in the world, aren't they? Going to football with your mates or your family. So
Oh, of
that's
course
what.
they are. Can't wait until my little one's, he's only 3 at the minute, but can't wait till I can take him along to Goodison, hopefully before we leave. And it's great experiences, aren't they? So is it lifelong fan then, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always Everton. My dad was an Everton fan from being an early teenager. He was from Preston, so he used to watch Preston at home one week, watching Tom Finney. And then a week after, he was watching Blackburn at home, and his favourite player was Ron Vernon. And then Ron Vernon went to Everton, so my dad was 15, and then he had to get another job, so he could afford to then go and watch Everton. Because once he went to Goodison, he said he was just hooked on it, and that was it. There was nothing like it. After watching Preston and Blackburn, good sides, but not what you got at Goodison, and that was it. From then days on. So from 60s, in 1960, my dad were Everton through and through. He went. He missed me, but he wasn't the first person to see me either as a baby, because we beat Southampton 5-2 the day I was born. So he missed my birth watching Southampton.
At least it were a win.
5-2, yeah. So
Lifelong fan.
it's been nothing different, and yeah, it was great times. Seeing him win 2 league titles. I missed the final day of '85 because we didn't have season tickets up till '86, but we used to get tickets for all the games. But that particular game, we just couldn't know where we could get a ticket, and we beat QPR 2-0, and there must have been 15,000-20,000 people outside Goodison that day.
Wow.
It was just incredible. In fact, it was probably more nerve-wracking outside than in the ground, because you can't see what's going on. You're just hearing noises. Probably like watching the Queen's Gambit, where you saw them all outside watching the chess game, and you see. But incredible. Absolutely incredible place.
Yeah, just a little bit too young to actually remember it. I were only 4 at the time, but I sort of remember the scenes on TV and stuff like that. BBC final score and everything. But how do sort of those compare to weekend's result with beating the Shite in their own place?
I couldn't sit down. I watched the whole game stood up, and moving from the telly in the kitchens to the telly in the lounge. And when we started losing control, I went into other room because I thought it might look better in other room. It was incredible. But to see the passion they showed at weekend, I mean, there was more passion than anything than I've seen for a long time. And I mean, I remember the days of watching Peter Reid and Paul Bracewell in the middle of that field, and I haven't seen anything resemble that for a long time. But I mean, I slagged Tom Davis off at times. To watch him perform how he did on Saturday was just incredible. He was fantastic.
I mean, towards the end, I was just in tears. And I'll tell you somebody who else were in tears, and I'll pull him in now. Here he is.
Sorry,
Good old
mate.
Wayne.
Yes, how are we doing?
You got a note?
Anyway,
Yeah, I've got a note from my wife.
I'm going to nickname you Moisey Keane.
Yeah, don't substitute
He
me, though.
were always
Don't
late at
resub
party
me.
and all.
Yeah, don't resub me, though.
Ferguson's going to come in and drag him off, isn't he?
yeah.
And not look at me as I walk off. How you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. You all
good,
good?
mate. Good, mate.
Nice to meet you too, Jeff.
Yeah, nice to meet
Really
you.
excited for bringing you on.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to be on.
Now, anybody that's actually watching now will probably notice I have a bit of a problem. I did promise I were going to wear one of the sort of like retro away kits. Bit of a problem. I chose to wear one that's the same colour as pitch, so it's invisible. It's that luminous yellow one. And I thought, I want to wear that one. And now I just look like a muppet. A bit like Liverpool look like on whatever it was.
I'm going to call you Thiago because he's been invisible on the pitch, hasn't he, since they've started.
I bet they're still crying, actually. In fact, they are still crying. I've seen so much social media posts
Still
about
crying over
crying.
Van Dijk, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they wheeled him out, didn't they, in his little wheelchair?
Yeah.
Here he is. Look what Pickford's done. I suppose it's his fault for Henderson as well, who fell over his own feet and pulled a muscle, tripped over a worm.
Yeah, that'll be
Over a
next one.
worm.
He'll try
He
that.
tripped over a copite worm.
Ancelotti masterclass, though, weren't it? That you look at the stats and you just think, how on earth did we pull that off? It was just unbelievable.
It's amazing.
I can't remember that.
He's outcoached a few top coaches this year, Ancelotti, with he's got his tactics bang on, and to get the players so disciplined to pull that off under that kind, because we were under some pressure and we kept calm. And I think other seasons gone by, I don't think we'd have had the minerals to hang in there. And we showed some right grit, didn't we, and some serious discipline. It was
Some really good
can I just
performance.
say
I
on
think
that
Jeff
one,
said
though?
it. Tom Davis, amazing.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt there, but
No,
can I
mate.
say as well, some credit needs to go to Duncan Ferguson and David Ancelotti for it as well, because I believe behind the scenes they play good cop, bad cop, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Ferguson's the one who really gets them up against the wall if they need, or puts the arm around them if they need, and I think a lot of credit needs to go to Dunk as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You've seen
absolutely.
what
Did you see his
everybody's
reaction?
seen what it means. You saw what it means to him, what it actually means to him when the goals were going in and things. And Ancelotti, Carlo's a bit more restrained in and a bit more reserved in the way he outwardly shows his emotions, whereas Dunk, his heart's right there, isn't it? Always.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think that's why they make such a good team, because Carlos is very cool and calm, like you say. It's just strictly business in it, just business. Whereas you can tell with Duncan Ferguson brings that passion, and you know full well, like Ancelotti, like when we were against United and we were really struggling at half time. I bet you Ancelotti said to Ferguson, probably go in there and fire him up, because we came out a different side. And having three coaches, because that David Ancelotti is meant to be a brilliant coach, isn't he, behind the scenes. So having a team like that who brings so much to the table, you can see why there's so much improvement. And let's be honest, we've got some quality, but we've got a lot of steady players, and everyone stepped up this year. In when they've got it right, they've really got it right, haven't they?
They have.
Oh yeah,
They
those dressing room scenes as well. I don't know if you lads saw them, but just the players going absolutely bonkers in dressing room just shows how much it actually means to them. And in some ways, it's a little bit sad that it means that much beating the shite at Anfield. And I guess it shows the problems we've had for 22 years and not being able to actually do that. That it now means so much to those players just to win a game against your rivals. It's always important, but the fact that we've not been able to do it before obviously meant a hell of a lot to them. 'Cause, I mean, Tom Davies came on Twitter and Instagram and everything with his little up the fucking Toffees thing. I just thought it's brilliant. They've seem to have that really good team ethic at the moment, which is really nice to see, because we've seen teams in past, haven't we, which just don't have that. Just look a bit disjointed. And
we've seen David Moyes teams with amazing spirit, but don't do the business at Anfield. We've seen, how many times have we seen that where they've got a gel together, and David Moyes has had a great core of players that never ever managed to do it.
Yeah, but that bit of control from Rodriguez was just somewhat special.
Oh, that set the game.
Perfectly
That set
weighted
the
pass.
tone, didn't it? That set the tone.
I mean, it was a great finish, but we might have had a chance of scoring that because it was that good a pass.
You were just
Yeah,
on
handed
the
to him
plate.
on a
which
plate,
is
wasn't it?
perfect.
Handed to him on a plate, that wasn't it?
And let's not forget, I mean, obviously, goalkeeper, he's colourblind, so obviously he can't see the Premier League ball. So, and not to mention, it was too windy, too cold.
His feet were cold.
Yeah, his feet were cold, couldn't move.
Yeah, he's doing a pantomime at Christmas. Alison in Wonderland.
And you can draw a lot of similarities from the Kevin Campbell goal to Richarlison's goal. Very, very similar in how they were scored, and they were both scored towards the Cop end as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, at least they don't have to
Very
worry. I mean, I don't think Alisson could catch COVID, let alone that ball.
No, like I said, he's really struggled, hasn't he? But on a serious note, he's had a bit of sad news, hasn't he, with his old man passing away. So, like, rivalry aside, you don't want to ever.
Right. No,
it's
nobody wants to see anybody do that.
So like you say, but yeah, he's a couple of years ago, were unbelievable. He was saving everything, but his form, you can blame that on defenders missing and what, but I just think that all the Liverpool players, they look short of confidence. They look, when they got in front of goal, they didn't have that composure like you'd expect a Liverpool side to have. Like, even though they had loads of ball, they had a couple of clear-cut chances. What Pickford pulled some great saves out.
Oh, he did. He had a fantastic game.
But they were snatching at shots that you'd think Liverpool don't normally panic.
Last season, most of those would have gone in. They'd have gone either side at keeper, but they weren't. They were too close to him. And I know he pulled off some cracking shots, but you're right. They just looked a little bit short on confidence, a little bit off form.
Gone, hasn't it?
And the killer instinct, they didn't have the killer instinct either, did they? They didn't have we had the ruthlessness, and this is what I've been craving for all season, to be ruthless. And we showed it totally, all the way through the game.
I think it was you, Wayne, that actually said...
Even the times when we sat back and we let them come at us, we showed the composure and kept the 2 rows of 4 in front of goal, and that's all we could have asked for that game, to keep the shape.
I think you said it, Wayne. You said that Liverpool, they were playing the occasion and not the actual game, and that's where they come unstuck. And I think there's a lot in that, with all the media speculation around, the whole Van Dijk and Pickford murdering him and everything else, which has sort of gone off.
We seem to treat it like just another league game, and I think that were to our advantage, that we treat it just like another league game, and not that it was the Merseyside derby and that we hadn't won in 22 years. And I think that stood us in good stead for it. I think. Yeah,
definitely. I think I've got to say some credit has to go to the referee as well for managing to keep that game flowing. Too often in Merseyside derbies, we do see referees stifle it by booking, early bookings, stamping down on challenges and stuff. And he did let it flow wherever he could. Yeah, he missed a couple of things. The penalty, when you watch it back, definitely a penalty. How he missed Salah getting shot again with the Anfield sniper and everything, I don't know. There was a few things which were quite right, but shocking, innit? But overall, I thought he actually had a really, really good game, and that's from a referee that historically has never really given as many favourable decisions. I mean, we got a penalty at Anfield.
How many times have we had a penalty at Anfield?
Wasn't that only the second time since World War II?
Yeah.
It's mad, but they can't. I've seen like the Liverpool fans moan about that penalty, and it's like it was clear goal scoring opportunity, and
should have been a card, Dom. There should have been a card there.
Yeah,
I got to be honest. When I first saw it, I did actually say, "Do you know what? I'm not sure if that's a penalty or not." But then when I saw the replay, it was quite clear it was, and referee got it spot on.
Last minute he put his leg up, didn't he? The last minute he hooked his leg round, and that's where, to me, that were a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, it was fair cop, wasn't it? Because he actually did fall over him, but as he fell, he went to try and stumble over him, and he hooked.
And he put his leg up, didn't he? If he kept his leg down, it wouldn't have been a penalty. But he's gone to make contact, hasn't he? Unfortunately for them, so
I've seen some of them not given before. Even to us, before VAR and stuff, we've had loads of them not given.
Well, no referee, I don't think, could have the minerals to give that with no VAR. I think, because he went over to the screen, didn't he? Look straight away and thought he's lifted his leg up. Yeah. Boys,
they're all like, oh, he's not taking any time to actually look at it. He looked at it, saw what he'd seen originally, and went, "I'm standing by my decision." And got to give him credit for that. He stuck by what decision he'd made and didn't let VAR rule what he thought. Obviously, VAR said, "Come and look at the screen." They didn't make a clear-cut decision, and he stood by what he thought. And good on him. I don't think it'd have changed the outcome of the game, to be honest, but.
No, I think if they were playing with a win second half, they would have never got that penalty. So, it's the win's fault. And...
Well, they couldn't see it ball. If they're colourblind, they can't see it. What is actually the best excuse you've actually seen this week from Liverpool fans for why we didn't win that game?
I've seen one saying, "Oh well, you've only beat our team of kids," and it's like, hang on, like you've had a couple of players out, every single team in the league. This media obsession with Liverpool and injuries, it just has to stop. It's just ridiculous. Every time you put TalkSport on this, there's another we remember the fallen for going on. There's a list of like Liverpool names, and it's like we were on about before we went live about Leicester, how many injuries they've had. No one's mentioned. Not one person's mentioned how many injuries Leicester have had in the third in league. So it's like, there's excuses. The excuses about injuries is just beyond a joke now. They need to man up, don't they, and just accept that teams have figured them out. They're getting out coached. They're getting out hustled. They're getting outworked. They've got no pace. in the middle. They're getting outran. It's not looking good for them. It's
And
really not.
as obviously a fan for a lot longer than us three have been, Jeff, have they always been like that? Have they always been a bit, like ashamed and nothing offended by everything, victim sort of mentality?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, everybody growing up were Man United and Liverpool fans, and yeah, you didn't see as many games then because obviously we weren't on telly as much, but they knew every excuse then, even though they'd never seen a game. And I've got a friend in Australia and big Liverpool fan, and I waited 2 days before I messaged him, and he just put, "I'm waiting for you to come. I'm waiting for all the excuses to come off him," and he just couldn't come up with it. To be honest, he just said, "Best team won," and which is the first time. It's nice to hear that from we haven't heard that for a lot of years, have we?
No.
And we were the best team, to be fair. And what Wayne said before about Ancelotti getting them ready just for a normal league game, that was a genius stroke, because if you hype people up, you lose the game plan. And they played it like they were told to play, and you're spot on with that. And that's down to experience. Yeah, Big Dunk could have psyched them up when they needed it if we got behind, but the game plan just worked from start to finish. And although there were some nervous times, but some amazing saves from Pickford, but it was just a genius stroke all the way around.
And everybody stuck to the game plan as well, didn't they, Jeff? That's the thing. It's all about, you could have the best 11 out there, but if they don't execute what the manager wants of them, or the assistants want of these particular players, then they're on a hiding to nothing straight away, and they kept the shape throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I'd like to see the amount of meters that Richarlison's covered in that game as well. That was incredible.
Oh, he really put himself about it. We're nice to see.
Yeah, it's incredible. He tries every week. It's just because things don't come off for him. People think he's not trying, but it's not. He just puts so much effort into it. He gets himself. I think he frustrates himself, doesn't he?
Yeah. You can tell that as well when he's not playing. We seem like our results have been terrible because his work rate is brilliant.
Do you know the only thing that I really missed from Richarlison was he didn't do his.
His little pigeon.
He should have done that in front of the cop. I know there's nobody there, but that would have been an epic video to watch years back, wouldn't it? Watch years in the future. You watch Richarlison do it. Do you remember when Richarlison did that in front of the cop?
It's a bit like
went up to him with his ear like that.
or did it appear to be agree?
Yeah,
He had just somersaults in front of cop. That was brilliant.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I think we're all still on a high, aren't we? We're just.
Do you know what I am?
Sunk in, has it? I'm on a high now. Going into the next game, I'm with such confidence.
Do you know? Before game, we went out and we bought a hamster for little one. He's only 3-year-old, and he got to choose the name of it, and he decided to call it Blue. From that moment, I took that as an omen. He's the reason. It's not Ancelotti's got note to do with it. Ferguson, no, it's my little Oliver who's called his hamster Blue. But I've got to be honest, I was like dead proud. Like, he's called it Blue because he's an Everton fan and he's 3-year-old, which is it's awesome.
I had 3 goldfish and they were called Ball, Harvey, Kendall.
Holy Trinity.
I did.
Holy Trinity, yeah, wow.
Honestly, I had 3 goldfish. They were called Ball, Harvey, Kendall.
Sign that naming pets after when the kids name their pets after. Like that. That's a sign of good parenting all around, I think, Trish. And, you've got to take credit for that, mate.
I can't say anything, Dom. Dom, don't shoot me down in flames, please. But we've got a cat and we call it Red. But he's ginger, so I can't call him Blue. Really, it won't suit him.
Yeah, well, we've got a fox red Labrador and we call it Ruby. So I'm guilty as well.
Yeah. But there is a story behind why I call my cat Red, and it's nothing to do with Liverpool whatsoever. I watched. Have you ever seen the TV series The Blacklist? The main character in there is called Red, and he's short for Reddington. So whenever our cat's in trouble, we call him Reddington.
So
I just thought you were like a dog person and hated it.
I'll tell you a story about how our family don't like Liverpool. My dad used to live opposite Peter Swan, who played at Leeds, and they were big pals with Michael Owen. And Michael Owen brought him a shirt that he wore, a Liverpool shirt, give it him, and he brought it in my dad's house. Said, "Hey, up, Ken." He says, "Michael Owens just dropped us this off." My dad pulled it off him, put it on the floor, and stood on it. He said, "Don't you bring that shite in this house."
Yes.
And threw him out. He didn't speak to him for a week.
Awesome.
Oh, dear.
I guess we're all a little bit distanced to it now, aren't we? Because we're all obviously from Yorkshire. We're not in sort of Liverpool. But that said, they're all in Norway, so it's maybe they are too. But no,
We've all got
I'm
Cockney
definitely
accents,
still.
Norwegian.
Yeah, I'm definitely still on an eye, and it's been a really good week as well for Everton in general after that Derby game. Obviously, a couple of really important things which have come out. So let's talk about Dean's new contract up to 2025. I personally think that's a really good move. What about you boys? I think it's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you look at people; he's so underrated. You look at he's in terms of assists, he wins it constantly, doesn't he, for most assists from a left back in the league. He's fantastic. He's the kind of player as well that will, the better signings we bring in, it's just going to enhance him. Because like last year, you could tell that at times we were getting frustrated because we had, we were poor, weren't we, a lot of last season. Whereas he's really standing out in a very good, in a very much improved side this year. I think it's people like that on big contracts. We're going to build teams around players like him, and he's fantastic. I just think
you can tell when he has a quiet game as well.
Yeah, you can.
We just don't get as many chances when he has a quiet game or can't quite get into it. Shows how influential he is.
He's basically stepped up and picked up where Baines left off, hasn't he? And it was a seamless transition between the two, wasn't it? And
it's been a fantastic signing.
We're very lucky in that because I tell you what, when it comes to replacing Seamus Coleman, it's going to be they're going to be big shoes to fill, aren't they?
Well, it's a big area. Sorry to go off track, guys, but that right side is something I think we really have to address for next season.
Yeah.
It's a big. Like I say, I think there's rumours that Max Aaron's in there, which would be. I think he's got potential to be, a very, very good player. So we're gonna have to see because I don't think long term. I don't think we're gonna, I think like I say, Coleman's been a great servant, but he's past his best now, into and like I said,
his pace is going into it. But he showed his experience in that derby. There were some really, really good challenges that he popped in, and it just shows pulling down, players from, Championship and stuff like that. Look how fantastic Godfrey has done this season.
Unbelievable.
He has been the signing of the season. He's absolutely fantastic. The lad puts himself about. He's some of the challenges he made in that Derby game. He just reads the ball so well, and he's had to play in pretty much all the positions across the back, and he's just stepped up to it and just done his job. He's
got that
fantastic signing.
No one can skin him either because he's got that is that fast. Even if he's just slightly out of position, he'll outrun him. He always makes up for if he's just that yard off. He'll make up for it. He's fantastic. I like it when he gets the ball and goes forward. I think it reminds me, like I say, when young Rio Ferdinand kind of played. Someone with no fear. He's just going to get the ball and think I'm going to have a go.
It's daft you say that actually. Did you see that? Did you see that 90 seconds with him that Everton posted up? And it was like a 90-second sort of video feed asking him various questions. And when they said, who was your sort of hero as a kid? And he said Rio Ferdinand. And you can actually see elements of that in the way that he plays. I don't think that's a bad role model.
With his pace, I can see him being like Kevin Ratcliffe. Because Kevin Ratcliffe was the quickest guy on the pitch. And he never got credit for his speed, didn't he? But do you remember, Jeff? He was always off the mark.
I just think that Ratcliffe was really quick, and you had Mountfield, and like Keane and Godfrey could be like Ratcliffe and Mountfield, but I think Godfrey's he's got more skill than Ratcliffe. Kevin Ratcliffe was a great player, but Godfrey's got something special. He can seem to hold off his decisions because he knows he's got the confidence in his own ability to cover. But if you compare the teams of the 80s to now, I mean, in the 80s, I talk a lot about the 80s because that's what I remember as a kid growing up and that, but we had some great fullbacks then. I mean, Pat van der Nauw, Neil Poynton, and we bought Paul Power from Man City when everybody said he were finished. He was a great player. And Bailey before that, we had a lot of great left-backs. And it's an important position because when, like Sheedy, I listened to Wayne the other week saying that Sheedy was one of his favourite players, but he had great people behind him. So that there are similarities between. You can compare the team now to then, and We had
And we were saying in the last episode, actually, Jeff, about the leaders that we had in the team in the 80s. We had lots of leaders, didn't we? Peter Reid used to get the game by the scruff of the neck. He was like, I don't want to compare it, and I'm sorry to all Evertonians here, but he was like what Steven Gerrard used to do with Liverpool when they were down. He'd pick them up by the scruff of the neck and pull them forward. And we haven't had that since. I don't think we've had that type of player since with that kind of influence, have we?
No, but in the 80s, when we were at a pomp, we had players that couldn't get a regular game in the Everton team.
Good players as well.
Like Alan Harper that went to Arsenal.
Great servant.
Was it Harper that went? I think we had players that couldn't get in our team.
He went away and come back, didn't he? Alan Harper come back again in the 90s, didn't he?
Yeah, and we used to get players going from us to top sides. That's where we want to be again, don't we? We don't want to be like we're signing players from Arsenal who can't get in the Arsenal team. We want to be sending our players out to them, and I think that them days will come again. With the way that the chairman's backing the manager and new stadium means more income. Bigger crowds, more income, and I think it's fantastic.
It's an attractive prospect for a top class player coming forward, thinking, well, joining a club that's, if we get like a European spot as well, European football, chance to work under Ancelotti, there's a lot of positives. We can, if we get it right this back end of the season, we can really, go through the levels, can't we?
And it's so close as well, that sort of top 10, apart from first, I think Man City have probably, pushed the gap, and I think they're probably going to win the league. Their quality is outstanding.
They deserve it,
they deserve it. It's a little bit like, hate to say it, but like Liverpool last season, they were just so far ahead of everybody else. Man City are that team this season. But the other places, they're all, realistically, they're all up for grabs. I know we're a little bit, behind that, but we've got a game in hand. If we, pick up some of the points that we should have picked up earlier in the season against those lower teams, there's nothing that can stop us from getting, further up. Personally, I'd probably take Europa rather than Champions League as we are right now. I don't know what you boys think, but I just think Champions League might be a stretch too far.
Do you know what I think? I honestly think I prefer us to get a trophy.
Yeah,
and build a squad that can cope with the fixture overhaul that you're going to get, because you get a load of fixtures piled on top of you when you go into Europe, and that's a problem. And that's why we've never been ready in Europe, because we've never had the squad to compete with it. So I would say give it another season. If we finish 7th or 8th, I'm not bothered. But if we won the FA Cup, icing on the top of the cake for me. I'd love to win the FA Cup again.
Hard game against City, isn't it? Hard game against City coming up.
Yeah, big time.
It is, but we shouldn't see people like the way we've been playing now against the top teams. We shouldn't see it like that. We shouldn't be afraid of that, should we? We shouldn't. We shouldn't let that intimidate us. We went to Liverpool, and all right, they didn't have Virgil van Dijk, R.I.P. But but they had some top players in the squad. They still had Firmino and Sané, Salah and Mane and all them, and we still beat them. So there's no reason why we can't beat Man City and progress in the cup. There's no reason whatsoever.
Well, it's doable.
It's all down to mentality, and it's all down to the mentality. I think.
Oh, definitely. I think, like I say, it's nicer we're in a position, because normally by this time of the season, everything.
We're out of both cups.
Season's normally done by January, innit, when we go out FA Cup early. But like we've got a lot to look forward to. I think Moyes as well has been doing great in terms of throwing their cat amongst the pigeons with West Ham.
Oh, with West Ham. I can't believe
they're
that.
taking points.
Flying.
They are taking points off teams that are going to be, hopefully, we're still going to be around them come the back end of the season. All these teams around us, your Chelsea's, your West Ham's, Tottenham, we've got all these to play. We've got all these sides to play. So they're 6-point games. If we pick up, wins against these, like we were awful against West Ham, weren't we, early on in the season? We get it right against them, that's points off them. We've got Chelsea, haven't we, in a couple of weeks. I think that's 3 more games down the line.
Even Southampton on Monday, that's a 6-pointer.
Yeah,
because they're in and around that group as well. I mean, Moyes is doing a Moyes, isn't he?
If they don't turn up like they did against Leeds, then I'll be happy
fantastic.
With that.
Yeah,
because they didn't turn up at all, did they? Against Leeds.
No, but to be fair, don't forget Leeds have got the best manager in the world, so that's probably.
Or against Liverpool.
Europe, Leeds, aren't they?
Yeah,
they didn't turn up against Liverpool again, did they? Either.
They're the Yorkshire Copites, aren't they, Leeds?
Oh, big. But at least Liverpool have been successful for, at least they've actually won stuff.
Yeah, so true.
But yeah, I think I'd be. I think Europa League is a big ask for us because you think this Thursday to Sunday it ruined Wolves' season last year, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it does teams like you say with the squads we've got. It needs a proper rebuild before we can think about competing in Europe and having another good season in the league. But it's all building.
And Dom, it sounds like we're unambitious when we say that because a lot of Evertonians will be saying we want Europe this season and it'll be seen as a failure if we don't get Europe. But do you know what? Look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture and look at the fixture congestion that happens when you've got to play a Thursday night and then you've got to play a Saturday or a Sunday after it.
Well, look what's happening this season. Where we've for past God knows how many months we've been playing like 2 games a week, sometimes 3, and I know everybody's in that same boat because it's all because of the league. But when it goes back to normal for next season, bearing in mind we've also got Euros as well, so there's no real break between the seasons. Our squad is not big enough, I don't think, to cope with the demands of Europe at the moment. Certainly not Champions League. And if we have to go through the qualifying stages of Europa League as well, that's a very early start for our squad.
Which knacks your pre-season.
Unless we build.
You don't have a pre-season, do you?
No, and we've seen it before with us where we've got in Europe, and every time we've or the 17 season where we got into Europe, didn't we? And
just got battered by
just
everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. And
you're on about Koeman's season.
The Koeman years, and
that were an embarrassment. That Dom, wasn't it?
Because we were shocking it. We couldn't get it right in the league, and then we were travelling, to
Armenia.
Croatia on a Thursday night, and that. And it's like it's not good. Whereas, like, it's not a lack of ambition at all as a fan, because obviously the whole point of supporting a team,
you have to be planted and realistic sometimes, don't you?
We can't get too far ahead of ourselves because we've seen this season with the squad we haven't been able to back up good performances, regular enough. Like, we had a fantastic win against Tottenham in the cup, and the following game we had nothing in his legs, did we? We were hopeless, and I think we're not like a Man City who can. If Cancelo ain't playing, they just bring Walker in
and leave Aguero on the bench.
And De Bruyne and give him 20
De
minutes.
Bruyne,
We're nowhere near that level yet, are we? So we've got to be very sensible on how we've got rid of a lot of deadwood, which is a fantastic start. The board's going to back Ancelotti, and he wants to be a long term. He's not come to win trophies like a Mourinho style and then clear off.
He's come to build a team,
He's come to build a proper legacy, which you need.
That he can leave to somebody else like Dunk.
And
maybe.
We just need the Copites to lose a few more games so they don't get Europe again at the same time as us, because they'll be over there pulling walls down on people and stuff and get us all banned.
Yeah, because especially after the last time we finished 4th and they won it as well.
I think, and thank God this bloke's no longer there.
Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
I think we're in a better position now as a club because with Ancelotti as manager and the resources we've got, if we do get into Europe, they can add to the squad. I think before, the positions we've been in, the club's not been in as good a financial position to be able to then add to the squad, because it's like it's managing the books against managing the expectations of the club. And we're this now, I think, if they know we're going to, under Ancelotti, we will get regular European football in the next few years. So the club can invest in a bigger squad because they know that those players are going to get games. And it is, we don't want to get into Europe until we're ready, but we can't be ready until we get into Europe. So it's like
chicken before egg type thing.
It is, but we've got the resources to do it. I mean, when we lost against, I know the week Don mentioned it against Fiorentina, where we lost on penalties, we did well that year. We hammered Wolfsburg, who were the top of the German league that year,
who had De Bruyne in the side at the time.
Yeah.
We were. I remember watching that in a hotel. I was working away, and we were fabulous. I think we were 3-0 or 3-1. We hammered them, and we looked phenomenal. And then we were looking at Fiorentina, were a good side, and so it can be done. I mean, the one like under Koeman was a disaster, but I mean, obviously I'm older than you boys, but I can remember when we won a European trophy, and I were at Goodison when we beat Bayern Munich,
Yeah,
And
what a night.
And a lot of people of around your age, Jeff, say it's one of the best games I've ever seen at Goodison.
Under the lights.
Munich under the lights.
that one and the 4 apiece against Liverpool.
That's my favourite derby.
And that was a replay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise till my dad said to me that was a replay. And then we went to Anfield. Dalglish resigned after the 4 apiece. And then we beat them 1-0 at Anfield. And that 4 apiece was mad. We were walking.
Davy Watson, when the ball came out to him and he smashed it, just from outside the box, that was awesome. Just reminiscent of Phil Jagielka's goal, that was.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah. But it's there's just nothing like it at Goodison. When I went against Crystal Palace before lockdown, and it was the first time I've been for 12 months. And what have you? And it was just I got goosebumps watching it, and it was amazing to see how many more houses on that street and how chippers and kebab shops. Every time you go, there's more of them, more of the houses down backing onto the main stand. They've turned into
on a Goodison Road. Yeah, the Goodison Road. They're just turning them all. Have you seen the houses that they painted as blue in the royal blue and everything? There's an Everton house across the road from Goodison Road on the side of the. On the side of the street there, when you walk around on the stadium, there's a house across the road, and he's painted it blue, and it's got the Everton laurel wreaths around the windows and stuff. It looks awesome.
I tell you, last European game I went to, it were when Bobby Brown Shoes got us into Europe, and they unveiled Umar Niasse at that game that
Marquee signing.
It's like it were literally like marquee signing. Here he is, like coming on with his little bandage round his wrist. We've signed this player, but he can't play for like 6 weeks because he got an injury.
And no locker.
Do you know what? and a locker. He finally did get a locker, but it just shows you the difference. That was our sort of like our signing to try and keep us in Europe, to try and push us forward. And yeah, don't get me wrong, some of his goals were ones which saved us when we needed to be saved in that dreadful season. But they weren't the players that were going to attract other, European talent. Like we've got, Rodriguez, we've got Allen, those type of players, along with Ancelotti in charge. They're the ones which are going to attract those better players. We just couldn't attract them in previous years. And it's more just as well as the financial side, we just weren't an attractive prospect.
No, and I put Niasse in the same category as your Aruna Kones and people like that. They did score some goals. I remember a time Kone scored a hat-trick, but the fans just didn't take to him, did they? The fans, no. And he didn't simply do the business consistently, did he?
No,
he had the right attitude. He had the right head on his shoulders.
Yeah, he always give his best, didn't he? You could see he always ran hard and he always give his best. He just, like I say, he's at that frustrating level of quality where he was just never going to take us, to the next level. And like we're on about with like the players we seem to be attracting now, clubs create that aura, don't they? Of people want to join a club that seems to be on the up. And I think if we can keep this consistency going and keep building, we will be that. Especially now with the stadium, like you think where Tottenham were a couple of years ago, and they got their new stadium, they got into Champions League, and I know they haven't won anything, but you look where they've gone to as a club, and we have got every potential to be consistently, a top 4 team within a couple of years. That's a biased opinion, but I think if we keep building well with the, it's very much on the up, isn't it? We're not sat here thinking, oh God, we're going down. Everything really positive.
We need a point against Coventry.
Look at the players that we're linked with, in terms of, I know most of it's paper talk, but now we seem to be linked with players from Real, from Barcelona, teams like that. It's a little bit different to, loaning out Dennis Stracqualursi and Marco Ferrari from God knows where else. Yeah.
Argentinian second division champions or something.
Who was that really tall bloke that played one game, scored one goal, and we never saw again? Luca Triore, was it?
Yeah, Lucina
Triore.
He got injured, didn't he, straight after that? He scored one goal in one appearance, yeah. And he was 6'8".
Yeah, literally only played like 16 minutes. And
6'8", he was a monster of a man.
100% goal record.
Not many can say that, can they?
No.
I mean, it was bad when we had to sign people like David Ginola and Gascoigne, not because we weren't amazing players, but we couldn't get play. We had no players.
Well,
that's
Jeff,
all we could afford.
Jeff, financially, that was a time where we could have gone under as well under Walter Smith, wasn't it? So he had to bring in who he could afford, and he had to. Unfortunately, he had to bring a lot of players who were in the twilight of their careers, which was sad. Sad to see.
Gaza put in some right performances though, didn't he? In that blue shirt.
He did, but I could never fault Walter Smith as a manager because he just he worked with what he had, and he didn't.
He had no
right
resources, did he? No, not
He
at all.
could have.
Didn't have support from the board like we've got now.
He's held in very high regard. All right, like we with the Rangers, faithful and people like that. The top level, big clubs hold him in really high regard. I think he'd be a fantastic manager if he had the resources. He were a bit on, like you say, you were on an hiding to nothing with that squad. Then with us once, he did very well with what he had, like you say.
Yeah, when we got Jesper Blomqvist and all that.
Yeah. When we got Walker as a manager, when he come from Norwich, he started getting them playing really nice football, and we looked like a team that could play on the ground. But he hadn't the resources, and he got frustrated, and then the crowd got on his back because he couldn't take it further. But that's not his fault.
Want his debut game, Jeff, against Swindon when we tonked them 6-2. I think it was at Goodison.
Did Glenn Hoddle play?
It was 6-2. Eh?
I think Glenn Hoddle play for Swindon that day. Wasn't he captain of Swindon then?
I think he'd long retired after that.
Had he?
Yeah, you're talking 94, I think, 93, 94. And we had players like Cotty and I think Sheedy might still play. Southall were in goal. Paul
Bracewell as well, weren't they?
I don't know. I think
Bracewell had finished with then, didn't he?
I think he played for Sunderland at his last club, Bracewell, before he retired. But I mean, we're talking like back then, Mike Walker, like you say, Jeff, he brought a lot of promise because of where he came from and what he did with Norwich. You kind of expected him to replicate it here, but it's one of them that want to be. Now he lives a quiet life in Cyprus now, so I hear. He managed in Cyprus, I think, in the early noughties, and he just stayed there now, so you don't hear anything from him. Which is sad.
Right. Yeah,
just talking about some of those quality of some of those players back then, unbelievable players, weren't they? Sheedy, Southalls, that type of stuff. They were some brilliant players to play for this club. It makes you wonder how we didn't do better at that time.
I think the 90s was our biggest underachieving season and it's also known for people outside of the Everton circle for the decade that Everton struggled to stay in the Premier League, and it was. For the first 8 to 10 years of us being in the Premier League, it was a struggle every season, wasn't it? And there were some games where it went right down to the last game where we had to either get a point or 3 points and rely on other results as well. I never want to go back there. I'll tell you what, I never want to go back there. Yeah, 94 when they were building the Park End. They were building the Park End. If you remember, the Park End had boards up. And when Wimbledon came to us and 2-0 down at half-time, you just thought... And that's another Mike Walker game as well, Jeff.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, the 90s were... Like, I remember as a kid, and towards the back end of the 90s, and every season you were like, if we just stay up this year, it's a good season. And you think like now, I feel if we're not pushing now this season, if we're not going to be in mix for top, 6 or 7, it's a bad, we've like underachieved. And then you think, look, we feel, like I say, you can get too ahead of yourself from if you think about where we've come, because I can't believe how much after the success of the 80s, it just completely died a death, didn't it, in the 90s? And we're not getting European football, just killed us, didn't it?
Because you know what? The wheels came off when Colin Harvey took over. And I'm not blaming Colin Harvey, by the way, because he was a great coach. But the wheels came off for me when Colin Harvey took over and we got rid of, shipped Trevor Stephen out and Gary Stevens. They all went north of the border to chase European football, didn't they? And we lost a lot of players chasing the European football. And that's... Welcome back, Tris.
I don't know what happened there. I just all of a sudden vanished.
But yeah, for me, where the wheels came off is we sold great players and never ever replaced them. We never replaced them with anybody who was a like-for-like swap, if you like. So Trevor Stevens for me and Gary Stevens and people like that. Peter Reid went to QPR, I think, and a couple of others. We never replaced those people. And that's when the wheels come off for us. And we didn't have the financial clout to back it up because obviously we didn't have European competitions and stuff. And we had chairmen who were running the club like a business, solely like a business, and nothing else, with no fans' interests at heart whatsoever. And they didn't look after the managers. Howard had 2 more spells in the 90s, didn't he, because of it? And
Yeah.
it's,
We
it
had-
was
we had
quite a sad note for Howard to finish on, wasn't it? Him getting sacked on his third spell. That was sad for me because when you think back of what he's actually done to the club and his legacy that he left.
Yeah, it's like
we
when
had-
a player plays on too long, isn't it?
Yeah,
we had money in the 80s, and Sir John Moore, Littlewood's Pools, was a chairman,
yeah, John
and
Marshall.
he used to drive up and down in his Rolls Royce, waving to all the fans, and he was just part of the club. And when he died, his nephew took all the money. Stephen Moore took all the money to Liverpool because Littlewood's Pools, obviously, they put a lot of money into Everton, and then his nephew was a big Liverpool fan, and that money went to Liverpool, and the whole club lost its momentum. They lost him. We lost.
Then Peter Johnson happened.
Well, yeah.
The less said about him, the better.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. But the whole momentum went in one go, didn't it? From losing your chairman dying, European football being stopped after, and the whole we just went into decline, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, all of that's happened under the lights of Goodison, and what an amazing stadium it's been for us. This week, we've ended up with the news that Liverpool Council have, unanimously approved Bramley Moor Dock, whatever it's going to be called eventually, which is great news for us. But do we think brand new stadium, blessing or a curse? Maybe a bit of both.
I think it's.
Go on, Tom.
Oh, sorry. I think it's fantastic. I think it's the next step. It's the next step to becoming one of the regular Big Six, isn't it? It's a new stadium. Obviously, you never want to leave all the history behind and everything, but everything moves forward, and I think it's going to be. Imagine how good it's going to be. 50,000 people packed in there. It's going to be, and you're going to be able to watch a game and actually see the full pitch without having a big beam in front of you, which I'm looking forward to.
Or an overhang,
It's called character.
Street end.
Yeah. But
I think I will miss Goodison though. That atmosphere.
Awesome.
I just hope they manage to, sort of replicate that with the new stadium, that close to the pitch stuff, because I think that's really, really important. The difference is we'll be able to fill ours where Man City sometimes struggle with theirs, don't they?
They've only been invented since 2008, though, as Man City, haven't they? They haven't done bad.
Yeah, I've got a lot of history to catch up on. But
What
there
was
was
it they called it? The Empty-ad?
The MTI, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There was some weird stat that came out this week just after the stadium thing that there's like 30,000 season ticket holders currently, with over 17,000 on the waiting list as it stands at the moment. I mean, that just shows the level of support that we've got, that we should be able to fill a stadium, like that, hopefully. And I think there's also the option to increase the capacity, isn't there, a little bit further down the line as well?
Yeah. I think
You talk about the locals. I was going to say in the last episode we spoke about how Everton have got themselves about in all four corners of the globe internationally, and we were saying, Tris, weren't we, that a lot of people are coming for holidays and coming to Goodison who are like maybe New York City Everton fans. So what it will do is it'll generate economy for the city of Liverpool, and they'll get a lot more tourists coming just to see the football coming to the ground. And now they don't have to go on any waiting list or be any.
And there's not going to be like a Tesco's attached to it either, like there were with the Kirby development idea.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, wasn't it? And they were saying that we were going to have blue and white bar strip with Tesco's as sponsor. Tesco's Value Football Club.
When it's smart price kid.
Every little else.
We dodged a bullet. We dodged a bullet there, didn't we? I think.
I think so.
Oh, big time. But funny because I saw a comment from some it must be some foreign Liverpool fan, and when he said about the Everton new stadium, and he put about Liverpool council approving it, and it's like, why don't Everton get a stadium in their own city rather than using Liverpool council?
No.
I've seen that as well.
That's brilliant.
Some helmets, isn't there?
God. I just want to be able to get like one of those tiles out at Boggs in Goodison that have been there since like 80s with old badge on.
Yeah,
Even now,
people
same tiles.
going in and getting the chair, taking the chair away, and that.
Yeah, definitely. Bit
What
of
would you
turf.
take, Tris, at the last? Well, to everybody, if you had an opportunity to take something from Goodison Park before it gets pulled down, what would you take?
Ooh.
Go on, Jeff. You know Goodison a lot better than us.
The badge as you're coming out of the tunnel into the.
Welcome to Goodison Park, yeah.
I
Yeah, the
had
touch.
I had the privilege a few years ago. I played in football aid game at Goodison,
Wow.
and it was unbelievable. And just you're coming out to Z cars, and it's then after the game. And so in my team there was Sharpie and Gary Ablett, and then in the other
Bless
team
him.
were Ian Snodin and Ebril. And afterwards, getting in the big bath. They were all at the big baths then. You got in your own a bath with talking to Sharpie. They're all in together. Snodin were brilliant. You know, the banter between them was just incredible, and you could imagine the conversations they had after games. And Rooney had just signed, and he's saying, "This is where Rooney's sitting now." It just started coming through as, as a star, and it was just incredible. And so I put Sharpie through for a goal, and then he just kept saying, "Just put it in the air, and I'll sort it out." And he did. It was mad. And then he put me through, and I've got a goalkeeper to beat at Gladys Street. And I were looking at the stand instead of the goals, and I put it. I think I nearly put it out at stand. And it was just
Awesome.
I was so lucky. I think that's one of the greatest days of my life. That just being on that pitch, it just felt so big though. The pitch, not like a normal football pitch. It felt huge, and I think that might be because good players play. Because I didn't play. I played a bit of football, but not to a great standard. But all those lads playing were footballers, so they make you look as though everything. It was incredible. Oh, so that badge when you come out and you're touching it, and I did it, and my hand was shaking just doing it. That's why I'd take that with me.
Oh, do you know what? That's a really good shout. That is a really good shout with that badge as you come out. So when I was a match sponsor against Fulham years ago, and we got a tour of Goodison, and obviously get to go down tunnel and walk out at tunnel, to music playing and stuff like that, and to touch that badge, it is something special. It's iconic for Goodison, so that's a good shout. But thinking about it, I might take corner flag, the one that Cahill keeps battering.
I've loads of dents in it.
No, it'd have to be something special with some iconic thing. Maybe if Jeff's taking badge, I can't have that one, so might have to be corner flag.
Cool. That's a good shout. What about you, Dom?
I just want one of the wooden chairs, me. Just one of the old school wooden chairs. I'd love one of them. Just like you say, I love this. I remember the best memories of being at Goodison is just when you score a goal and the whole place just starts shaking, and you think, I don't know if I'm coming out alive, but I'm gonna enjoy this celebration.
And you actually do feel it shake, when you're in the street end. I mean, it's a concrete concourse underneath it, but the whole thing does shake, doesn't it, when they score? Scary feeling.
But I might change my answer.
Yeah.
Go on then.
One of them pillars that runs down that's always giving restricted view. I'm going to take it, install it in the living room in front of Mrs.'s seat on sofa, so that she's really hooked off when she's trying to watch Corrie. That's mine. That's what I'm taking. A full one.
Oh man.
Could build a block of flats, couldn't you? With all that.
I might take the church then. In the corner of the street end, I'll turn it into a man cave.
We used to go in church all the time before the game for a cup of tea.
Did you?
Yeah, in church, in corner. Yeah. Yeah, always went in before a game for a cup of tea when I was a kid. That was that ritual we had to do with that. And everybody seemed to know everybody, going in, and those were the days.
Oh, blooming heck.
What about you then, Wayne? What you were taking, other than church?
I'd take the centre circle spot, because how many iconic players over the years have stood there to kick off?
That's a good point.
That's what I'd take, the centre circle spot, because you could say take a penalty spot, but we don't get many penalties. And B, we have one set penalty taker throughout each season, don't we? So you don't really. But you think of how many feet have been on that centre circle spot. That's what I'd have. Put it in my front garden, and somebody say, "Why have you got a white spot in your front of your lawn?" I say, "That's from Goodison Park." That.
Problem is, they'll dig some of that new turf up, and they'll find loads of teeth where Duncan Ferguson elbowed all their defenders' teeth out over years. They'll just be like
Stefan Freund.
Yeah.
My claim to fame is I met Big Dunk the day he signed for Everton. And so I'd been down to Wembley to watch Great Britain, Australia in the Rugby League test. And Everton had played Crystal Palace the day before. So we're in this bar and we got with some friends. And my wife went, "That's Duncan Ferguson over there." And I looked and he sat there. And I said, "It is, yeah." And he was sat with Ian Durant. So my wife goes, "Are you going to go over and say hello to him?" I said, "Have you seen the size of him?" So my wife, she just went, I'll go over. So she went over. And the next minute, he's waving us over. So we sat for an hour having a beer with Big Dunk and Ian Durant. And my wife had some of the glasses with a straw. So I've got a picture somewhere of me and Big Dunk drinking out of these straws out of a pint glass. And he were phenomenal.
Wow.
And he was just so nice. He won't let it. I'll buy it. I'm buying it. He was just buying. I said that day to him, I said, "What's happening tomorrow?" He said, "Well," he said, "they want to sign me." And he said, "I'd love to sign." He said, "But they're not interested in Ian because they don't think he's going to play enough games because of his knees." And that's what happened. Once we signed Big Dunk the day after, and Ian Durant went back to Rangers. But he's no shoes on, but he just looked so big. He was just such a unit. But what a guy! He was just phenomenal, and just being with somebody like that. When I see him now, you know how genuine he is, and when you see everything he does, he's just a normal guy. He's just such a good guy.
You can see why the fans and everybody loves him, can't you? Because he seems like all he's ever done is just put his heart and soul into Everton, hasn't he? And you can't, like I say, whatever he does in his future, he's an Everton legend for life, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, forget the fact that he's an Everton FC employee. He's probably doing something that most of us dream about doing, and probably would do it for nothing. If money wasn't an issue, he'd do that for nothing. He's like a super fan who's basically living the dream, isn't he? Basically.
Oh yeah. And you could tell that from him from sort of early years. I mean, I met him after a Leeds game, believe it or not, at Goodison, and an ex-girlfriend actually bought tickets for me to go and see Leeds because she had, I think it was her company had a box there, and it's like, "Do you want to go in box?" "No, I want to go in stand." So we did. But we managed to get into the lounge afterwards, and there was Big Dunk and Tony Ibbott in there, obviously doing the entertaining of people and stuff like that. And Jeff's right, both of them actually are huge. I just remember just looking up at them and thinking, "Good God, they don't look that big when you look at them on pitch, but when you actually stood next to them, they are massive." But both of them were absolutely lovely. Stood there with a pint of lemonade, and they were just really, really nice, just really, really nice guys. And I don't know if that's the same, with other players at other clubs, but I've always found the Everton players to be, really approachable for the fans to go to, when they're going into ground and stuff like that. You see all kids, around, and they're always happy to sign autographs for people, and they're making time to go and see people in hospitals, and videos and stuff like that for people. And it's people's club, isn't it? It's that mentality.
Oh yeah, I think it's got even harder as well nowadays because with social media, there's that much fan interaction. Like you can imagine how some of the players could be annoyed at fans, and they have a bad game, and then they look at their Instagram and there's just abuse. So you can understand, they do well nowadays to make so much of an effort with the fans. Because to be fair, we pay to watch them, so they deserve, we deserve an opinion. But whatever, with all the social media, and they have to be so good nowadays to the players, don't they, and presentable. And when they mess up and everything, they get a bad time for it, don't they? But you see some seriously
they're a lot
good
more accountable
people
these days. That's what it is because, like you say, about social media. But I mean, Dom, back in the old days, your dad will probably be able to vouch this as well. If you wanted to know anything about Everton Football Club, you used to have to gut at phone box because you dare use your parents' phone and ring the club call, which was an 0898 number. Do you remember that, Jeff?
Yeah.
It'd just be like this automated voice at the end giving you all the team news and all this lot.
But that or go on teletext.
Or teletext, yeah.
Yeah. I were lucky because my dad was so, Everton mad. He were doing that, so it was. That's how it was. It was everything was Everton. That's how it was. Even to the stage where we had quite a big. My dad's side had quite a big family, and there were some supported Everton, Man United, but the falling outs and carryings on, because obviously being from Preston, not everybody's going to support Everton or Liverpool. So there were, Man United supporters, Preston supporters, but got to a stage where my dad once went to a game with my uncle who supported Man United, and Man United beat Everton 1-0 on Boxing Day. My dad were driving, and he left my uncle Barry at Goodison. Left him.
No way.
Got back to my Auntie Barbara's house. Everybody's there, ready for something to eat together. Where's Uncle Barry? Oh, and I'm like, my dad's left him.
Legend. That is awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
don't take football too seriously or anything, does it?
Oh, no.
That is amazing. Oh God, I wish I'm envious because I wish I had stories like this to tell people.
He wants it somebody with a pie. He'll go mad to me telling these stories. But we were in Bullens Road. We had season tickets in Bullens Road, 86, 87, and I can't remember who we were playing, but we were playing poor. And this guy in front and just kept moaning about the way they were. We're top at league, You're playing poor. We still knew we were going to win because in them days you still knew you were going to win. Mm-hmm. And this bloke were getting on my dad's nerves that much. My dad threw pie at him, hit him straight on back at head. Bloke turned round. He were massive, and my dad's about 5'6". Bloke turned round and went, "Who threw that?" And my dad said, "I did." And I'm going, "Oh God, we're going to get killed here.
We're going to get twatted."
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. I thought, what a waste of a pie. What a waste of a
main
pie.
question: were it a scouse pie?
Yeah. But it were red hot.
Why would you waste the money? Why would you waste your money though? Back there, what I'm saying is, the cost of £5. I won't waste it by throwing it at somebody.
No chance. No chance. That's definitely getting. After
£3
queuing
for a bovril,
£5
for a scouse pie. God, expensive doing it.
Too right.
Especially if you're drinking Chang. God.
No, I think Carlo Ancelotti's made drinking tea quite cool now, isn't it? It's going to be the new thing now, isn't it? Everybody holding a cup going.
Yeah.
Can you imagine watching a televised game where the fans come back and Everton score a goal and everybody just grabs a tea and goes?
Yeah, just stands there with the tea.
You know that's not tea. That's a not toddy. That.
Yeah. So funny though. That is going to be iconic for years to come. That Ancelotti's
definitely.
stood there blowing his tea when everybody else is jumping about.
Everybody's going mad, and he's just like.
He's so cool, isn't he? He's so cool.
It's like when Ferguson's going absolutely mental and Ancelotti's there like, calm down. It's just like, it's just a complete character. He's just
reins him in, doesn't he? Just reins Fergie in.
But then did you see Carlo, once the final whistle went, how much he celebrated then?
Oh, yeah.
He were proper going for it, and it's that composure, just like, hang on, we've still got 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes, whatever. Just keep it calm. And he's got that ability to then, once the final whistle goes, you could see how much it meant to him then, because he were really going for it. So it's good having someone so calm, isn't it, when Ferguson's just running up and down like high-fiving ball boys. And
can we just talk about another incident there as well, actually, that we haven't touched on yet? What about when Ferguson was smiling and Klopp turns over to him and said, "Why are you laughing for?" And he says, "We're not allowed to talk now, Jurgen."
Yeah, he gave it him, didn't he?
Yeah,
you're over that penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're over the penalty, yeah. But Klopp actually turned over and said, "Why are you laughing? What's it got to do with you, mate? Piss off back in your dugout. Get back in your box."
He'll lose them dentures, won't he? All them veneers he's had done. Them veneers had been left.
I think Dunk showed incredible restraint by just coming back with something there instead of knocking him out.
He'll have got him in tunnel. Once they're back in tunnel next year, and they both using away changing rooms and that, he'll have a word with him in tunnel, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I still haven't forgotten. He'll tie him up. You'll just find Klopp tied up.
Question is, which one's done it, Dunk or Ancelotti?
Ancelotti. No, not Ancelotti. Don't forget, he has men who do that. So it wouldn't have been Ancelotti himself. He has a mob.
Klopp arrives to Goodison in back of Ancelotti's boot.
Yeah. There'll be a fish wrapped up left in changing rooms for Klopp when he walks in.
Block of concrete tied to him.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I would say you can 10-1 bet though that after that game, Ancelotti were first one into big baths at Anfield, bollock naked, like with champagne going.
Can you imagine it?
all that
Wobbling.
aura of composure that we all see just completely gone. He was one that started that rioting dressing room. She can guarantee it.
Like Mike Bassett style when he's in dentist chair with me.
I've got my stomach killing me, man.
It's just a false composure. So, shall we have a look at a few retro kits then, boys? Because strangely enough, the lifelong fan that's been a fan for longest is wearing the newest one for us. I'm wearing an invisible one. I think from what I can see of Dom's, that's the 1966 FA Cup winning one in it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think which one Wayne's is. Has it got Chang on?
No.
No, you're wearing a kid's shirt.
No. As if a kid's shirt would fit my fat body.
Yeah, but they didn't have sponsors on, did they? It weren't allowed. That's what I'm wondering.
It's the old zip-up training. It's the Leon Osman, Tony Hibbert era zip-up training top. Can't get the zip now. But yeah, look, you see, it zips up.
Don't zip it any further down, mate.
Zip up. It's
a family show. Family show.
Yeah. No, it's the old zip-up one before they actually started doing the sponsors on the training kits. They were just sponsorless, weren't they? They used to be. They didn't have the thing. So I think it's from about 2005, 2006 era, this one.
Yeah. I've got to say, though, that one that Jeff's wearing, that sort of like training stuff and them tops, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Love them.
Honestly, they really are really, really nice this year. Even sort of like the walkout jackets and stuff like that, they're just
smart.
Lovely. Hummel have done a cracking job on that. They really have. Some really nice kits. And that away kit is just, I love that. Absolutely love it.
I love the amber one. I don't really particularly like the green one. I'm not a big fan of that one.
A bit like Mr. Soft, isn't it? It's a bit soft minty.
It's a bit wishy-washy. A bit psychedelic. Jeff, has that got a sponsor on it, that one that you're wearing?
No, nothing. No. I got this for Christmas, and I've only worn it for one game, and that was Liverpool. So it's going to be on for every single game now. It's going to be till the end of the season.
From now on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
until you'll throw it out once we lose. If we don't get a result against Southampton, they'll be like, "Oh my god, get rid of it."
So Tris? What is your favourite retro shirt of all time, home or away? If you had to choose one, home or away or third, it doesn't matter. Just choose one shirt.
Do you know what? I was looking back at my collection for the ones that I've actually got out of storage at the moment earlier, and I'm thinking, God, we've had some cracking away kits. We really have had some really nice away kits over the years. My one that's probably my ultimate favourite would be the salmon and blue striped one with the NEC on. From when I was a kid. That's in storage, so I couldn't pull that one out. But got a couple of pictures, some from that same era as well, which I absolutely love. So I think we spoke about it last week, actually.
That's my favourite. That's the best. I think that's the best shirt.
That comes a very close second for me to that salmon and thingy one, and also in same era as well. That one.
Yeah, love that as well.
That's cool. Like the retro
love
one
the
they do online.
Love the collar.
I'd love. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is though, if they brought out a kit like that nowadays, it's like one of them ones they make on FIFA that everyone absolutely goes mad for. You know, like, oh, that's amazing, that kit, and then that's the
you
style
mean the
of
concept
that.
kit makers on Twitter, where you get the concept kit makers and they make some really good Everton shirts, and then Nike, Umbro or Nike pulled out some dross that wouldn't compare, and you think these people are in the wrong job. They should be working for Umbro designing our kit. Because it's so much better out than the concept.
Because they know what people want to see, don't they? They know what people want.
Oh, where's Jeff gone?
Yeah, I mean, the toss-up for me with this one, this is that luminous one, I think from, I can't remember what season it was from. Invisible one. But it was a toss-up between this one or the Nike yellow and blue one. So the one that's mainly yellow with blue. That's quite a nice kit. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, well, it's a small. I've got a bit of a lockdown belly. Maybe it's not a good look on camera. So I went with this invisible one. I never actually thought that it'd be invisible. But yeah, I do like this one, I've got to be honest. But yeah, we've had some cracking away kits over years. It's nice. I think it is nice that they've gone back to the amber. Again, I think that is very much Everton. I mean, we've had some shocking away kits as well, if we're being honest.
I didn't like the pink one with the dark blue across the top. I didn't like that one at all. Hated it.
I actually gave that one to my missus for like a nightshirt thing, but she didn't wear
Welcome
it.
back, Jeff.
I've never sat still for an hour and 10 minutes and not had a pee before. So at my age,
So that's what we've got to look forward to, boys.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
my favourite away kit was we had a yellow top with Hafnia on and blue shorts and blue and yellow socks. I can remember Adrian Heath running around in it.
Yeah.
And I remember that one. That was a nice kit.
Was that 1982 to 83 or something like that?
Oh, that were after that. That'd be 80. I think that's the 86, 85. Might be 80, 85 era.
Sportif, yeah, where we had the white V-neck, didn't we? We had the white V-neck.
Yeah, and I can remember Hafnia were one of the sponsors, and then we had NEC come after Hafnia, but it was definitely the Hafnia one because I remember Adrian Heath working at Yella. That was a nice kit.
I think I've got.
Chris is looking for it now. Have you?
I think I've actually got. I think I've got one. I'm just uploading it now. If it's the one that I think it is.
Oh wow, love it.
I can't find an actual picture of it. But there was also one with like the blue shorts as well.
Yeah,
which we used to wear
we
as
had
well.
blue shorts and blue tops on the socks. I used to like that one.
I liked the
Can't
Umbro
find
down the sleeves. I liked that.
any actual pictures of the. Oh, actually, I found one. Oh yes, actually, I do like that one. Let's pull that one up.
Bring it in. Let's have a look at it.
Let's get rid of that one. Let's load that one up.
Stick 50p
Just-
in the meter. Wow.
That's the
love
one.
it. Oh,
That's the
love
one.
That is
Beautiful badge
gorgeous.
as well on that one.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing. Good call there, Jeff. That is amazing.
I can remember Adrian Heath running around in that.
Yeah.
Those Hafnia kits, they were nice. They're sort of like
Yeah.
they stood the test of time, aren't they? They're just there's something about them. And I think weren't they like a silver one as well? Silver
I thought it were white.
Hafnia
I thought they
kit,
were a white
which
version.
were,
It's a
with
white
white,
variation
yeah.
of it.
Let's have a look.
I thought they were like a white variation.
I wonder what
Like
year
white
were the
piping.
first time we had a sponsor. I'm trying to think who were before that. I wonder when we first started having sponsors on the shirts.
It was Hafnia, I think.
Yeah, and I
And
can't
we were
think of anybody before
we
that.
we were sponsorless, Jeff, when a lot of teams had sponsors, so we were quite late into the game with sponsors. Because Man City, I know, had a really early sponsor, so did Forest, and so did a couple of other teams. So I
Yeah.
think we were quite late entering this. Oh, I love it.
So
Yeah.
they were the
That's
kits. So
the-
it was
that's the
was a
one.
silver one.
Lecoq-
Yeah, they were the
Lecoq
kits, Lecoq Sportif. Yeah, just before they obviously went to. I don't know if they were after or before.
No, they had Umbro either side of them, I think. I think they had Umbro, then they went Lecoq Sportif, and then they stayed for a few years. 'Cause I think the old NEC with the white bar along the top that Gary Lineker wore, I think
Yeah.
that was Lecoq as well. And then
Yeah.
after that, they went to Umbro, then I think, with the old V shirt with the diamonds. That was my first Everton shirt, that. With the little
Yeah, how
tiny NEC here.
Yeah.
They just got sponsors have just got bigger and bigger as more money goes into it, and
Chang sponsors were massive, weren't they? I mean,
Oh,
I had
yeah,
the first one
huge.
I had the first shirt that had Chang on it, and it just had Chang beer. And if you remember, after the second season, they dropped it, the word beer, and just made the elephant a lot bigger, and the elephant came right across the front of your chest.
yeah.
Because when we had
There we go. That's that silver one isn't it, in
I
the flesh.
love it. Oh, in the flesh, it's a lot better. Yeah, love it. Love it. Was that away then, that Tris, or was that?
I think it might have been a third, possibly. But we did have a lot of sort of like grey and sort of like grey, white, and blue kits. There were that striped one, weren't they? That grey and white, quite short stripes, which we had as well at
with
that
the navy
time.
collar and all that. NEC, that one you're talking.
Yeah, it was NEC. Yeah, there's
NEC,
that
they
one.
changed the logo of NEC to just plain font, didn't they? And
Yeah.
I remember it. That one, it was like 93 or something. Was it the third kit the same time as the salmon and indigo one?
Yes, I think it was. Oh, it might have been
Was the third
season.
kit?
Might have been season before.
Or season before, maybe. Yeah, right.
I was a kid. I just know I had like every kit and just were like, yeah, I want.
I'm amazed at
And
how
if
many
I
you've kept.
if I
wish I'd
don't
kept
get socks and shorts, I'm not having it. And I remember once we won at
Fucking
home kits. My dad had to, because you couldn't get socks for kids
That's
anywhere.
cop-out behaviour, even as a kid.
I was about 6. Leave me alone. But yeah, he had to literally search all over the country to try and get some socks in sort of like my kid's size, and we had to. I think we ended up going like down to Wales somewhere random to actually go and get some, because obviously before online shopping and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how much I wanted all like kits as a kid. And yeah, there's all
look
the
at
home
that.
ones, right up to last season's, obviously. But got
I love the old school
all
ones,
of them.
you know, just the plain, like, that's why I like these retro ones. They're like the old
79 to
school.
82 shirt looks amazing.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love the 85, 86 one. I've actually got. I've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
that one.
they're like-
But yes, some of them are just brilliant. I mean, you look at them from sort of like about 2004 onwards. They don't really change much, do they? It's just a couple of little white flashes here and there. I do
I don't
remember
think
that
designers in the
2009
90s
kit
were
though.
that daring. I don't think designers had the minerals in them. These days, I think they're just pressured to work off templates out there. Not allowed to do bespoke. Or
No,
they don't seem
gone
to.
are the days when you get an actual home shirt that lasts from 79 to 82.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally like new,
But
like
that was
3 or 4 new
bespoke
kits
back
a
in them
year.
days. Back in them days, Tris, they were made bespoke for us. They don't have somebody like Aberdeen or Aston Villa wearing the same because they have the same kit manufacturer off a template, do they?
No.
Nowadays they do. Nowadays they seem to have 6, 7 clubs that wear the same shirt but in their own colours.
Yeah,
And it's
different
wrong.
colours.
It's wrong, that. So wrong.
Yeah, because you want that identity, don't you? As a club,
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
brand, you want your own identity.
Is it Villa that's got Kazoo as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a distance, you think one of their shirts. You think, oh god, it looks like one of ours. And Hull City the same when they played in their away colours. And you're thinking when they were Sport Pizza, and you think they look just like ours. It's made by
I want a
Umbro,
fan of
sponsored
them.
by Sport Pizza the same.
Yeah, them Sport Pizza kits, they just look proper cheap for me. I'm never a fan of them.
I had the first Sport Pizza one that come out, and I never got another one after. I didn't get the one with the Bullens stand.
No, all sponsors come off. Constantly coming off. My little lad likes to sit there and pull them off. He's like, oh, it's peeling again. Let's peel it off. Leave it alone. Now it's just Pisa. It's done that on every single one that I've got. First one to come off with that like purple and black one with luminous yellow sports Pisa, which were a lovely kit. I love that
I
one.
liked the look of it. I liked the look of it.
Yeah, we're a nice kit. But yeah, they were that horrible grey one as well, weren't they? In Rooney's return season as well, away kit, grey away kit. It just looked a little
Yeah,
bit
it just
flat
looked
and
washed
dull.
out. It just looked like a dirty white colour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just
Wasn't a
weren't
good one,
nice.
that one.
No, not at all. So, looking forward to then the Monday, isn't it? The Southampton game. What do we think? How are we going to go? Are we going to win, or are we going to do an Everton and kind of let ourselves down when we should really be winning when we've got some momentum behind us?
Who knows? Who knows what we're going to do?
Theoretically, it should be business as usual, shouldn't it? And we
Yeah.
should treat it like another game, like we did with the derby. We should approach it in exactly the same way.
Yeah, like I said, we've got, like I say, Southampton, then West Brom, haven't we, next week, Monday, Thursday, and then we've got Chelsea. So the 3 games, we need to keep picking up as many points as possible, don't we? We have to keep winning these games now.
Yeah,
They're
return of
all
Big Sam,
winnable,
innit?
Don. They're all
Yeah,
winnable,
they are.
though, mate. aren't they?
Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't think Chelsea looked fantastic against Southampton last week. You look at how poor Southampton were against Leeds, and then you look at they got a point out of the Chelsea game. So you think obviously they had the Champions League game, they played well, but I think I know you can never compare because obviously different teams and whatnot, but I think get a good win against Southampton. West Brom are conceding for fun, aren't they?
Which is surprising considering it's Big Sam, which is
Yeah.
is in there. You'd expect him to park the bus and try and scrape a 1-0 or try and scrape a draw, but it seems to have gone other way since he came in. They seem to be leaking goals constantly.
They're a lost cause, aren't they? So we need to go there. We need to, like I say, a couple of big wins there. And I think, obviously, I know Chelsea are improved under the new manager, but it's still, like I say, very winnable game, very winnable, So I think, like I say, we've got to keep building. If we've got to put these games in the bank, haven't we now? Keep these points up.
I
We've got to be better at home. We've got to better our
Absolutely,
home form.
yeah.
I think breaking the hoodoo and beating Liverpool will give them a lot of confidence, and to beat them as well and leave Alan on the bench and him not needing to come on. I can't remember last time would win a big game without being able to have the luxury of not playing somebody like that, because normally
That was just pure arrogance, wasn't it, Jeff?
other
Yeah.
managers would have started with Calvert-Lewin and Alan because I want my best team on the pitch. And that's the different level of coaching and manager we've got now. and Alan will be fresh.
I were begging
Southampton.
for him to be on, didn't I, Tris? I was telling you.
You were, yeah, like Alan
need to
on
bring
now, Alan on now.
just to shore it up. Get him on now and get it shored up. That's
He's
what I
saving
wanted.
Alan for.
We're
He's
1-0 at
saving
the
Alan
time.
for big teams, isn't he? He's saving Alan for big teams.
I think if that first goal hadn't have gone in, I think he probably would have brought him on sooner. But we looked relatively comfortable once we went in front with Pickford making some class saves and stuff like that. And I don't think they really needed to risk him quite so soon coming back. But yeah, he'll probably be back for Southampton maybe. A massive club, aren't they? It's where Liverpool sourced all their players from, weren't it, a few seasons ago?
We're going to say it's Liverpool's feeder club, yeah.
But yeah, be interesting to see how we do against Southampton on the back of that. And I think certainly the West Brom game is a big gain, even though we should ideally beat them. It's the return of Big Sam in it. He knows Everton. He knows some of the players. He's worked with them before.
And he's out to prove a point because he's got a bit of a bitterness towards Everton.
He has,
and rightly so
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, I agree.
Because love him or hate him, he did his job that he were asked for, and they didn't let him see his contract out. Which was poor form by Everton, that was.
I think he always knew we were only going to be there. That's why he negotiated a longer contract. I think he probably knew. Told Pistow tits.
Irrespective of whether you love him or hate him, he did do a job for us. And actually, if you'd have given him another transfer window, what could he have done? We wouldn't have had Marco Silva, would we? Would we have let him see his contract out and then get Ancelotti at the end of that? Then
I don't know. He's bitter, but he got a very handsome payout, didn't he, for leaving? And I don't know if he could have actually taken us forward. I think he was a bit of a emergency appointment that we probably didn't actually need. He was one of those, we're panicking, we're in sort of like the bottom three, and form naturally sort of increased anyway before we appointed him, what with Unsworth and stuff like that stepping in. I think that was a bit of a sad point for me when we had to.
I think they're poor all round bringing him in. I don't think we ever, we're never going to realistically go down. We had way too much quality to go down. So, he always uses, I got him to 7th, and it's like, well, we want in a bad position. Once he took over, we got a few wins back to back, and I think
he stripped everything back to the basics, didn't he? Like he always does. He says there's 3 basics to follow in football, and one of them is to show your defence up.
Yeah, and
play basic football.
But he did what he were asked to do.
Yeah, but if you're Sam, you can understand. You think, hang on, I've come in, I've achieved everything I'm meant to do. Give me some money and let me have a go in the transfer window. So I can understand why he's a bit salty towards it, because I think I would be in that position.
I would as well, no doubts about it. And do you know what? They did the same to Moyes at West Ham as well, didn't they? I mean, Moyes is back there now and it's all water under the bridge. But Moyes came in, did an emergency appointment like Big Sam did, kept him in the Premier League, and then they sacked him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So
it's all right. Big Sam probably got like a year's supply of Bovril out of it. Should be happy.
Merry-go-round. But I don't like it when clubs are like revolving doors to managers. I prefer to have somebody planted like we had with Moyes, and there were quite happy times with Moyes because you knew that he'd steadied the ship, and it was just all he was doing was kept constantly improving it. We very rarely did we go backwards.
Yeah, 100% effort all the time under Moyes, wasn't it?
Just they never gave up, did they? Never ever gave up, and we've seen a little bit of that under Ancelotti in certain games as well. And I think a lot of that might be down to Dunk's influence, driving him forward.
I think he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah.
I think he deserves a lot of credit, Dunk. And David as well, because behind the scenes, because they're both joint assistant managers, aren't they? And they must both have different philosophies. And remember that David and Carlo both speak around 12 languages between them. So the language barrier now in the dressing room is very, very minimal. They speak. And
just nobody can understand the word Dunk says because he's Scottish. So he just uses his fists.
But how many teams can boast the luxury of being able to speak at least 5 or 6 continental languages fluently? There's not many, is there? I don't think. And the language barrier can be a problem communicating what you want out of the player on the pitch.
Brands is the same though as well. He speaks multiple languages, doesn't he, as well? Which is really what we want, in terms of somebody to negotiate those deals and stuff like that. Definitely. What do we think then? Score prediction. So Southampton. What do we reckon? What are we going for?
Go on, Jeff.
I'll go first. I'm going 2-0 to Everton.
Not a bad shout.
It'd been easy to get carried away, wouldn't it, after beating Liverpool and say 4-0, but no, I think 2-0 is I think he'll start with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front, like we finished the game against Liverpool, because they look really good together. Calvert-Lewin looked fresh. It looked like he got a yard of legs back on him, and I think we start like that against Southampton. We'll go up. We'll get another goal in the second half with 2-0.
It's not a bad shout that at all.
Go on then. Go on, Dom? Can you trump the old man there?
I can see it being a lot more awkward because we never make these games easy, do we? I'd take a 1-0, but I think it'll be 2-1. I think we'll get a couple, but I can just see, Southampton always find a way to score against us, don't they? Like
They do like to
season.
score against us, don't they?
And
seem to
early
have
on in
that.
season when Ward-Prowse decided to smash that goal in, and I'd take a 2-1. I'd be happy with a 2-1. I think just a win, just 3 points.
Wayne, what we saying, boy?
Well, we've no two ways about it. We've got to win. Like Dom says, we need to carry on the winning, and off the back of everything that's happened now, we need to. I think the players will have the wind in the sails here, and I think we'll definitely concede against them. But I'm going for 3-1. I think.
Yeah.
I think
That was
3-1.
going to be.
I think Calvert-Lewin's going to be back on his mark again, and I think maybe Richarlison or Sigurdsson are going to chip in with a goal themselves as well. That's what I think.
Yep, I was going to say 3-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I don't know why. I just have that funny feeling. But I'm going to go for an optimistic 3-1, just because of that, exactly what you said, Wayne, that wind in the sails thing. Hopefully we can carry that forward. Hopefully it's 3-1 to Everton, not 3-1 to Southampton, which, who knows. But yeah, let's hope it's a win. So I think we're all going for a win on that one. What do we think about West Brom? Which is Thursday night, so we'll probably have to move the little podcast there to maybe a different night, unless we're going to do a watch through. We could potentially do a watch through.
Do our first watch through, yeah.
We'll do our first live watch through. But what do we think? West Brom, is it at West Brom or is it at Everton, that one?
It's at West Brom.
West Brom.
Hawthorns, oh God. Many good memories there at Hawthorns and Everton.
I'm going 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
Who do you think score?
Who do I think score? Keane header.
Off a set piece.
Yeah. I can't. I think the way that Sam will set up will make it difficult for us to play.
I know what you're saying there, Jeff, because they'll break us down, and the way they set up, they will look to park the bus, won't they? And they'll look to create to limit the amount of chances we get of getting in the boxes. So, like you say, set pieces.
And we won't be fresh. I don't think we'll be as fresh. I think it's going to be tough. But I think Michael Keane header 1-0.
It's interesting though, anyway, West Brom, because they can't afford now just to sit back and try and scrape, a point or try and find a 1-0. They have to try and score goals, don't they? Because they need 3 points pretty much every game now, don't they, to have a chance.
They also need to improve that goal difference as well, because if it comes down to that at the moment, they are so far behind everybody else in terms of the goals conceded. They've got to start and go for it, and it's tricky, isn't it, when they play the relegation
if they have a go,
team.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If they have a go, I think it plays into our hands because there's more space for us. Because we're notoriously poor this season against teams that just want to just defend and try and keep the shape. We've struggled, haven't we, to break those kind of sides down. We've been good at counter punching, whereas I think with West Brom, I think if they come and have a go because they need points, I think it could play into our hands. I could see it being quite an open scoring game, all being well. I think. I'd be more confident on us putting a few on the board against a big Sam team now, with how much, because he can't just rely on 0-0s, can he? He has to try and get 3 points all the time now.
Yeah, and I guess if he doesn't start and pick those up, it's his survival legacy, isn't it? That's not going to survive this time. He's got a lot on the line.
Damage his CV. Well, I'm with Jeff on it. I think it's going to be tight. I think they'll break us down quite a lot. I think they'll go some way and it won't be pretty. I think the game's going to be absolutely drab and dull, and we'll just nick a goal from like a free kick or a corner, like Jeff said. I'm totally with you on that one, mate. It's going to be a tricky game the way Sam sets his teams up. They're just going to want to just build a fortress in their own half, won't they? And they'll sit back and they'll let us play, but we won't be able to break them down. I think we'll struggle to break them down.
Well, I think they'll try and frustrate us and make us make a mistake and overcommit, trying to get a goal.
Try and get us on the break, yeah.
I think they'll try and frustrate us because they're not going to out football us. I think they'll just try and frustrate us and make us, wait for us to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm. It's important if we do score a goal that we do it early doors and set the tone of the game and take it to them and make them do all the work to try and get back into the game. Whereas if it stays 0-0 beyond half time, it's going to be difficult. And like you say, they might just nick a goal at the end or nick a goal off the break from one of our mistakes. So we need to be looking at scoring early doors, really. Yeah. That's what I think.
Dom, what are you saying?
I reckon 2-0. I think he'll be cagey early on, and I think they'll have to at some point try and have a bit of a go, and I think we'll catch him when they try and have a go. Because, like I say, I think if West Brom were just about floating above the relegation zone, I think they'd think, well, I'll take a point here. And then you get the true Big Sam performance. Whereas I think now, with the position they're in, they have to be a lot more reckless. But, so I'm hoping for a more open game that you would get from a West Brom side. But like I say, I can imagine them. They could just revert to type and just sit back, and it could be, like you guys have said, an awful scrappy game. But we'll have to see. I'm going 2-0.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think we're going to concede, possibly go 1-0 up, and I think we'll tend to sit back a little bit, and they might just unpick us on some of those set pieces. We know what Sam's like for throwing players into the box, and those set pieces try and grab that one solitary goal that they need to get 3 points. So I think we might be pegged back, but I think we might sort of score a late second half winner. We seem to be pretty good on the road as well compared to at Goodison.
If we were at Goodison, our away form's better, isn't it?
I think if it was at Goodison, I think it might be a little bit closer. But let's hope for a. I'm going to go for 2-1. I think. I think we've all gone for a win though on that one. I think we need to win. We need
by a
to
single
win.
goal. We've all gone for a win by a single goal as well. So we know it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
So sorry, boys. I'm going to have to jump off because my phone's about to die. It's lasted an hour and a half, so I'm happy.
We've probably done the episode now.
Probably done. Actually, that was the last thing. The scores. Yeah. But yeah, so I think huge thanks to Jeff for popping on. It's been a pleasure to have you on, mate, and hopefully we'll get you on again. It's been
Jeff.
Been a pleasure. Yep, anytime. Honestly,
it's been brilliant just to talk to somebody else but Dom about football. So no, it's been great. Thank you for having me, and it's been fantastic.
Anytime. No,
see you again soon, guys.
We will do, and we will catch up soon, boys, and hopefully we might be able to get the watch through done on Thursday. We'll look into it, see what we can do.
Let's do it, yeah, definitely.
Episode 5, match watch through.
Right, boys. Have a good night, and I'll catch up with you later.
Catch you later, boys.
See you
later.
Bye.
Bye.